What's up, everyone? It's Pete here. Today we're back in the shop. We're going to be doing some work on the Giant Glory. The downhill bike is getting all the love this winter, so we'll be ready to shred it when the spring rolls around. Still building some trails out at Huck's, but when we get to snowshoe, we want this thing to be primed. So I was able to locate a upper tube for the Boxxer. If you all recall, we bought that Boxxer on PinkBike. Needed a rebuild, and that upper left tube had some damage to it right where the fork seals go in, so we're going to replace that today, get that cleaned up, and see how long this thing will last. Alright, let's get into it.
And here are the tools we're going to need to get this job done.
24mm socket with a flat face, 5mm Allen wrench, a 4mm Allen wrench, a set of calipers, a pair of C-clip pliers, a mallet. We will also require 20 cc's of RockShox OW30 for the lowers, RockShox suspension cleaner. I got the new tube out of the package, and this thing looks pristine, just as it should. Part number is what it should be, so we're going to go ahead and stick this thing in there. Okay, so I'm going to start with breaking the bolt free on the bottom of the fork here. Go ahead and smack that. Since we've already done the fork, we don't really need to take everything apart and do this like we're going to do a full fork service. We're just going to pull that leg out and go ahead and swap the spring. Oh yeah!
And before we get started with that, we're going to go ahead and remove the front wheel. And using the 5mm Allen wrench, we're going to go ahead and break the bolt free on the bottom. Give it a couple of turns. With that loosened up, you want to take your mallet and whack the bolt. Now that the bolt's broken free, I'm going to go ahead and put the bucket underneath here, so if we spill any oil out, it's not going to land on my floor and make a mess.
There we go, that should have done it.
Using the 24mm socket, you want to go ahead and break the top cap free on the tube while it's still clamped into the crown. Now you want to get the 4mm Allen wrench and break these bolts free.
Go ahead and get these good and loose so it'll be easy to pull the stanchion out. Always make sure you get your Allen wrench deep and inserted in there so you don't strip these little 4mm heads out, or else you will be buying new ones. Okay. Now that should be broken free. Just pull it straight on out. Ooh, crusty! So here we have the new upper tube, nice and clean all around, and then here we have the old one. You can see there's some significant wear right where that bushing is, and right here. So, we're going to get that all taken care of. First, we're going to go ahead and remove this cap here. You will notice I went ahead and loosened it some when it was in the bike, just to make my life easier. So we're going to go ahead and pop that guy off here. Get our preload spacers out. Pull the spring, still nice and clean. Now we're going to go ahead and remove this C-clip here. There goes our plunger. Come back here. Ah! It has returned. Put that down there where it goes. All this fun stuff. Set that right there. And just like that, An empty tube. Recycle! So we get all this fun stuff here. This. And this. I've got a little jimmy jammed there. So I get that and that and that all sorted. Go ahead and wipe all that down one more time. As you can see, there's not a lot of dirt, but still just a little bit. These are old parts. So, this is all the bottom, this is all the top.
And with the top out assembly reassembled, we want to go ahead and take our C-clip pliers and get this thing put back into place. When you get this in there, you want to make sure that you have the C-clip all the way in there and firmly press back in against all the seals. Go ahead and give a good pull on your shaft there to make sure that it is really in there, because if not, you'll die.
And coat it all with grease. Blah. I forgot to mention, you need this, Slick Honey, or some other brand's junk just like it. And then all of it up and down here, just keep this thing moving nice and smooth in the tube. Don't want it scoring or anything like that. Just slather that puppy in the lubes. Now that it's all lubed up and ready to go, and you'll notice you have two different sides here. You got a tapered small end and a flat end. You want to go ahead and insert the small end into the fork. You go ahead and get that all the way in there. Reinstall our preload spacers. Put the top cap back on. We'll just twist it down. We're not going to really tighten it up until we get it in the bike and back into place. Once we have the stanchion, once we have this upper tube tightened into the frame, we can torque it. There's no way I'm going to be able to hold that still and torque it with my hand. So, back to the bike. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and slide this back in here. Slippity dippity. Nice and straight. Freshen up that seal. And since we have a low ceiling in here, I need to invert the bike. It's just easier to take it off the stand. We're going to go ahead and put 20 cc's of 30 weight fluid down in the bottom of this guy. Done. Bolt lined up. And just because we like to live, we'll check the other side. It's good and tight. Now we just need to go ahead and measure the gap between the top of the fork and the crown here. And bring this side over to match. Alright, so we got that set.
So now we want to go ahead and tighten these two down. Let's get a little bit of tension. We want to start drawing these up till they become snug evenly. So there, start to feel some pressure. So we go ahead and tighten this one first, then come back, add some more tension to that one. Come back, snug the bottom, snug the top. And you want to make sure that you do this nice and evenly, and that there should be a gap in your crown here. There should be a gap in the back just a little bit. You shouldn't pinch all the way down, but it should fully tighten this tube. Now you want to go ahead and get this one tightened up as well. It's just 5 Newton meters. You don't need to crank them down. Over tightening them can damage your fork. So now that we've got that fork on there and upgraded, it looks great. No longer looking like something that came out of the garbage bin, and it operates just like it should. We've got an upgraded carbon front wheel on there, upgraded to Z brakes. This bike has a couple of upgrades on there, got the weight down to about 28 pounds. Scratch that, 38 pounds. And yeah. However, we're in the middle of the winter, and Pete needs money more than a bike. So if you guys want this bike, it is for sale for $2,500. You get all the extra parts that came with it. Hit me up. Woo! Like, subscribe, eat a donut, stay rad.